Hey, Monica here. Thanks for listening to this clip from our full podcast. Stick around while we build you the best place for conspiracies, weird history, true crime, and fun facts. Now, on to the clip. Creepy but true urban legends. So I'm going to share a few urban legends with you that will really shock you that are real. I am anxious to see what you think of this one. A murderer enters your apartment through the medicine cabinet. Does that ring any bells?
It sounds like the Candyman, but you have to call him to you.
Right, but he comes through.
He comes through the mirror.
Through the mirror of the medicine cabinet. So, true story, super creepy. Yes.
No way.
Yes. So in 1987 in Chicago, a woman named Ruthie Mae was murdered by a man who came through the medicine cabinet of her apartment. Now, this was a defect because it was part of the old housing projects there in Chicago. And there were many defects in those buildings, and no one really cared to fix them. So that's a horror story in and of itself. And honestly,
so was the defect that they made the medicine cabinet the size of a human? Or that you could walk between the walls?
All of it. All of it.
Oh.
Yeah, all of it. So in that they were so deteriorated that they could easily be removed, just a lot of it. And her story is so sad. So she called 911, but so did someone else at the same time about gunshots. So the police did eventually make it there, but they were addressing the gunshots, and the projects were such a sad place that the police tried to enter her apartment, but everyone told them just to go away and not do it. And then they did. And Monica, she was found 2 days later dead in her apartment. And there was so much chaos going on at the time that no one noticed that a woman got shot in her apartment. And
that alone is
there
horrifying.
For 2 days. Yeah, that exactly. So it's really sad. And I know we don't have time to tell her story here, but I am going to link it on the show notes. And it's the story from the Chicago Reader. And honestly, it's really compelling. And I think it's worth reading. It's just a little eye-opening for me. It's tragic. It's sad. And it just paints a story of, mental health and neglect and just some of the situations that people have found themselves in. And so I think it's important. And I thought it was written really well. So I'm going to share it. You want to read this next one? Because I was like, ew, no, please tell me this is not true.
Yes, my eyes are bugging out of my head right now. Fake dead bodies are actually real dead bodies. I'm like, what? So in 2015, in Chillicothe, Ohio, a woman was running from her boyfriend, got caught on the fence, and he killed her and left her body there. Passers-by thought it was a Halloween decoration for most of the morning. That's recent.
Right? I mean, ew. And also, I almost feel like if I actually were on village council, I would ask that we pass an ordinance that no fake dead bodies. No fake dead bodies.
Right. It either needs to be a full-on skeleton or a fake ghost.
We should not question if the person is dead. So then in 2009, so this is previous, but in 2009 in LA, a body sat on a balcony for days before anyone realized what it was truly. And it was a man who had committed suicide via gunshot to the face.
Okay, so on his balcony, so maybe the people couldn't see that he had no face at that point.
Yeah, I would think it's weird that
he doesn't wave to you, or if you look up, there's no reaction. I instinctively look up when people pass my house.
Right. So they thought that it was a Halloween decoration.
Oh, again with this. Goodness.
Yeah, all of these are people thinking these are Halloween decorations.
In 2014, Spring Hill, Florida, handyman cleaning out a garage thought a body was a prop hanging in the garage. It wasn't until they were at the dump that they realized it was real.
Yeah.
So they took it down and still thought it was a prop?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's crazy.
They did. The owners of the property had also seen the same body, and they thought old tenants had left it behind. But sadly, it was a man who had killed himself weeks before.
Delaware, 2005, a woman committed suicide and passersby thought it was a holiday prank.
And here's the one that got me, Monica. This final one on fake bodies are actually real dead bodies. Did you know that the movie Poltergeist used real dead bodies in it?
That is disgusting.
Yes, and also the disturbing scene where, like, I believe it's the mom slides into, like, this pool of grotesque skeletons. Those were real.
No wonder so many of the people from this movie died.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Bad karma.
Bad karma.
Wow. Well, this next headline, as we enter the Halloween season, Sienna and I have been having conversations about strangers and, you don't go with strangers. It doesn't matter if they have a kitty, a puppy, they tell you that I sent you. So we're having those conversations more and more frequently because we're at parks with lots of strangers now. And this was a thing when we were growing up. Kidnappers trying to give kids money, or not, trying to give kids candy to take them into big white vans. That's why the big white vans have such a bad rap.
Right. So kidnappers giving candy to kids and taking them in white vans, you would think is an urban legend. But in fact, really, it's not. And I'm going to tell you why. There's a few compelling reasons why. So there actually was a child predator in Texas. His name was Dean Corll, and he worked for his mother's candy company, and he was known to offer candy to children. This was back in the 70s.
Of course it was.
And he did this so often that officials at a local elementary school were like, hey, don't do this. Not because you're creeping us out, because it's the 70s and we don't realize that there's creeps yet. But the children were crossing the busy street because it was kind of like seeing the ice cream man. Oh, the candy guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so like, this is unsafe. Please don't come around here anymore. Okay, but so he did that in a white van, and he had 28 victims, and at least 2 of them were last seen climbing into that van.
I have heard of him. And this story, especially the thing that reminded me of it, is that it was his mother's candy shop. Gross. I just got the chills. Ugh.
Also, the Toolbox Killers, they used a light-colored utility van that they nicknamed Murder Mac. Now, we're not going to detail their atrocities here, but you can learn more about them in Season 1 in our True Crime series. They didn't have any candy, but for sure they used a white van.
Super disturbing.
In general, serial killers who used vans were Jeffrey Dahmer, Robert Lee Yates, Gerald and Charlene Galago, or Galago. Who cares? I don't care if I say their name right.
Right.
Here in my area, I do have a story, though, and it's very sad. So there was a man who used a van to hit a woman while riding her bike. He tied her up and he threw it in the back of the van. And she was able to escape, so he was only charged with kidnapping, and I think he served maybe 6 years. Well, a few years ago... That doesn't
seem like enough.
Well, right. Especially because a few years ago, he did the exact same thing to a young woman on a bike ride here in the early evening. So by here, I mean in the same county I live in. And he was riding her bicycle. Her fiance was riding his motorcycle, and he stopped and said, "Hey, babe, see you home in a few minutes." She's like, "Yep, see you up there." And so that guy, in that amount of time, he hit her and then hurt her, put her in the back, and had killed her in 15 minutes. Between her seeing her fiance. Yeah. A lot of local people knew her, very affected by it. And what's really irks me is that because he didn't kill that first woman, he was able to get out and do this again.
Right.
Like, that's just something not right about that. It's just so awful. So I understand why the urban legends of vans has become a thing. But anytime there's a white van, Lillian will be like, "I saw a white van, so I came inside immediately." Oh, I mean, we don't need to be scared of all white vans.
Right.
We're safe then sorry at this point. Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe if you want more conspiracies, weird history, true crime, and fun facts. Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe if you want more conspiracies, weird history, true crime, and fun facts. Thanks for listening.